Hello and welcome to the new season and another important episode of A Different Kind of Woman. A different kind of woman copes with adversity. Coronary heart disease remains the #1 killer in the UK, and the number of those with heart disease continues to increase. However, the number of people dying from heart disease has fallen with the introduction of better treatments. On today's show, The Rise in Rates of Heart Disease, we'll be looking at what we can do to decrease the risk and much more. So joining me on today's topic on the rising rates of heart disease, I have with me Pommy Knight. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So tell our viewers about your journey. Why did you get involved in having a blog?
Okay. My dad took ill in 2009 with stroke in Nigeria.
Okay.
Before then, he had high blood pressure. There was so much going on with him. Mm-hmm. He was a smoker, he was a drinker, but not an alcoholic. And then having to watch what he eats was a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
This all contributed to the risk factors which he suffered with heart disease.
Okay.
So he suffered with stroke.
How did you find out about it, about his condition?
Well, I was here at the time, and I got a phone call that my dad, his left side had gone. And I told my mom instantly that was the sign of stroke. His face drooped, speech became slurred, and he just couldn't move.
Wow.
So he was admitted into hospital. But then I was training as a pharmacist. So I had just qualified with King's College, University London. At the same time, I did my training in hospital pharmacy at Southend Hospital. So this equipped me with the valuable experience I gained from having seen patients, not just patients, but heart-related issues.
Yes.
And with that, I was able to liaise with the doctors back home.
So, Pommy, you mentioned that your father is based in Nigeria and you were based here. And of course, from your medical training, you were able to lend greater support to not just him, but your mother as well, the entire family.
Exactly.
Wow. So how did they embrace all of this?
They were so happy that I was in the medical field. It really did help them with the information because the doctors couldn't really break it down to their understanding. Yes. So that was where I came in.
Okay.
I was able to break it down and make it much more easier for them to understand the importance of why they had to do what they had to do. Yes.
So why do you believe it's important that we raise this awareness of heart disease and the risk of it? Because I know from experience being in a hospital, you see younger and younger patients. Back in the days, you used to hear about the older generation, but now more and more younger people are suffering with heart disease.
Exactly.
So what can we advise our viewers, those who are looking at this program, what they need to do?
Okay. Knowledge is power.
Yes.
If you have the knowledge, you'll be able to know what is it that I need to do to prevent myself being in that situation in the first place. If you look at the risk factors and the causes of heart disease, there are things that we see every day. People smoke, people drink, people eat. The question is, what is it that you eat? What should you eat? Yes. What shouldn't you eat?
Yes, yes. It makes you really kind of think about how, when you go to the supermarket, what are you buying?
Exactly.
When you go and eat out, what are you purchasing?
Exactly.
What are you spending your money on?
Exactly.
Because all these things do affect us.
Exactly.
And people think about now, but it has a long-term effect.
That's
so
it.
If you spend years of eating unhealthy, I mean, coming from the Caribbean, we eat a lot of spicy food, a lot of seasoning, a lot of salts, a lot of sugars, and sometimes we don't pay attention to the details. We don't pay attention to the amount of sugars and calories and all these things.
And that's one of the most important things.
Yes,
that you need to look at. When you're in the shops and you're shopping, you need to look at your labels. Look at your salt content.
Yeah.
Look at your sugars.
I think we have a lot of people don't do that. They don't look at the ingredients.
But that's because most of them are not really aware.
Yes.
The layman.
Yes.
Professionals, yes. But what about the lay person, the everyday person?
Yeah. I mean, we focus so much on our diet, but also exercise. We need to exercise as well.
Have to.
Because, you know, and people often think, okay, when you're obese, you know, you are likely to get heart disease. But it's not just for the obese person.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
I've seen slim people slump.
Yes.
With a heart attack.
Yes.
We've had footballers.
Yes, yes. It's so true.
So many of them.
It just reminded me, because when I went to the hospital, there was a footballer.
Yes.
Who suffered with a heart attack.
Exactly. While training on the field. And they're fit, they're slim, fit, but why is it happening?
Yes. It's really lifestyle choices.
Exactly.
It's having greater balance, because then we could be totally extreme. We don't need any salt or any sugars. We go totally extreme.
Exactly. You just need to stick to the recommended levels. If you do that, you would be fine.
Yes, it's true. So we're going to take a short break, but don't go away. Take a look at what's next. Our team went to try a cookery class. Have a look.
To share it with others and teach others how to make effective dishes from plant food.
Welcome back on today's show, Rising Rates of Heart Disease. We've been discussing the rising rates of heart disease. Joining me to discuss the topic is medicinal food cookery expert Shahina Ali. Welcome, Shahina.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we've been talking about this topic, which is one that affects everyone. Whether you're young or you're senior, it affects us all, you know, because the rising the increase of heart disease, it's so alarming that we have to make changes.
That's true, absolutely. And I think there's so many little things that can be done on a day-to-day basis that can have long-term effects on no matter what age you are as well, and also what lifestyle you lead.
During the break, we were talking about, you know, the labeling, and when you purchase items, looking at the ingredients.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't recognize, because we are looking for the word sugar. But many times the word sugar is not there. There's other words that they use, but it's sugar, it's a form of sugar.
Yes, absolutely. Things like high fructose corn syrup as well. That is total no-no in terms of, you know, sugars. People don't realise that is actually worse than refined sugar. And also fructose, which is fruit sugar.
Yes.
That's something that you need to try and avoid as well. And also, you know, you have other, say, brown sugars and so on. They are still sugars, but people don't seem to understand that you know, they're just as unhealthy.
Yes. But it's not only sugars, as we were discussing, it's salt, it's a lack of exercise.
Yes.
It's all the addictions like smoking, drinking, excessive.
But it's also the fact that there are so many different kinds of fats that, you know, not all fats are bad fats.
Yes.
You have LDL cholesterol, which is basically the bad cholesterol, which you need to try and minimise. And you have HDL, which is high density lipoprotein, which is the good cholesterol, which is something that is quite good to have in high levels in your bloodstream. And people don't look at fats in terms of distinguishing between the good and bad, but you have people avoiding good fats such as avocados, thinking they are fatty foods, but actually...
I love avocado.
Yeah, avocados are brilliant because they contain so much vitamin E as well, which is also a blood thinner. So it's something that can be used for people who have sort of cardiovascular disease in terms of stroke in their families and so on, or in their health history. So
why do you believe people are suffering more?
I think it's a combination of a sedentary lifestyle, so something where they're not doing much exercise, desk-bound jobs, and also stress as well, which is causing inflammation in the body. Yes. And that's also contributing to the levels of hypertension and you know, high blood pressure levels, and that's making them really susceptible to strokes.
I think that's an important factor because many of us are leading a very stressful life with work and, with their families. There's so much that they try to accomplish within the day that, it affects the choices that we make, especially when it comes to our diet.
That's true, exactly. So a combination of exercise would actually kill two birds with one stone by reducing your stress levels, producing the endorphins, which is the good hormones, the feel-good hormones, as well as making sure that you're getting the blood flow going in your body. Your cardiovascular health is improving as well, and it lowers your weight.
Pamela was mentioning her personal journey.
Yes.
Tell our viewers the changes you made, because I think it's so good, the choices that you made during your period.
Okay. At a point in my life, I was really slow, sluggish, tired. No matter how much sleep I got, things just didn't change. My diet was everything that was bad. I was on Snicker bars, Coke, sugar, white bread, just to mention a few.
Yeah.
But then I woke up one morning and I told myself, you've got to make a change. Your dad passed away with stroke. You don't want to go down the same route. So I started. First thing was sugar. It was hard.
Yeah, I'm not going to say how difficult is that.
It was hard.
Because sugar isn't like
the minute
everything.
I was able to get through the first week, that was it.
Okay.
And then gradually and slowly, I decided to start watching what I was having for breakfast. Rather than have 4 slices of white bread, to whole grain bread.
Yes.
Toast, boiled eggs, avocados.
Yes.
My afternoon, I switched from white rice to brown rice, no more than like 2 tablespoons. But it's all mixed with vegetables, fish.
Yeah, fish is very good.
Oily fish, mackerel, sardine. And then when it came to my evening, light salad.
Okay.
And then my water, I used to find it so hard to drink water. So I started with lemon-flavored water. Squeeze 1 lemon into like a liter and drink. But now I don't even need it anymore. I've gone from drinking no water to drinking 3 liters a day.
Wow.
But I feel good in my skin.
You feel so much better, more energy.
Full of energy. I don't need to sleep 8 hours to get the strength that I need. 4 to 5 hours is enough.
For you?
Yes, for me.
That's good.
The energy is there.
All because of the choices that you made. Yeah.
Simple.
I definitely think the choices we make in terms of the food we eat does affect us.
Absolutely.
Because I remember feeling also really always tired. And when I went to my doctor, she said, oh, you need to top up, in your vitamins. You need to change your diet. And once I did that, I saw improvement. Like for breakfast, I would always have cereal. I was like a cereal girl. But I learned, so now I have like oats porridge, I have blueberries, banana with it, so just small
changes,
steps, because it affects you long term.
That's it.
It's not just for the now.
No, it's for the future.
Exactly, but
10 years
also,
from now.
That's true. I mean, if you look at not food as just fuel or something that tastes good, you actually look at it as medicine in some ways. It's the first port of call for fixing any sort of health issues in your body.
Yes.
Then you go towards medication.
Yes.
It changes your mentality completely as to what you pick up to eat on a daily basis. So, for example, if you have cinnamon as a spice on a garnish on, say, porridge, that actually contains a chemical called coumarin, which is a vasodilator, so it sort of widens your blood vessels. It's fantastic for anyone with high blood pressure as well. Okay. So if you look at it that way, then it really, really changes your viewpoint of food.
Yes, and with anything, if you develop that habit, before you know it, you no longer have the desire for the sugar and the salts and all these things.
Your taste buds change.
Your taste buds definitely change. So we're going to find out more about enjoying healthy eating. Our team went to healthy cookery class with Anna Friedman. Check it out.
I set up Whole Food Harmony because I fell in love with this plant cuisine really that was styled so the flavours were really rich and tasty. The ingredients were really wide. I opened up to a whole host of new ingredients that everything was very healthy. So I set up Whole Food Harmony to share it with others and teach others how to make effective dishes from plant food that's sustainable, that's nourishing, and that's going to have an impact on people's lives. I guess I fell in love with this eating style and the food really. It was just yummy, it was delicious, it was flavourful, it looked beautiful, and yet it was all plant-based and healthy. So much so, I trained for 4 years in natural food and health, and just automatically, I had no grand plan, I just began sharing it with others through classes, teaching hands-on cookery. So that was my inspiration. So I trained for 4 years in natural food and health, and then Whole Food Harmony came up out of that. There was no grand plan, it kind of blossomed. People were really receptive, and have been really receptive to it. A healthy diet has to be tasty actually in order for it to work and be sustainable. I feel like there's so many ways that can be achieved. It's through making the food really, really rich and flavourful, so it's like you're feeding yourself and you're enjoying it. You're liking what you're eating. People can use different cooking styles, different flavours, different seasonings, different ingredients, making different textures so you can bite into something and it's still really yummy and healthy at the same time. It's about nourishing yourself and tuning into what you really want and need. What am I not teaching today? We've done a really big menu today actually. We've kicked off with a miso soup. So that's actually one of my favourite soups because it's really easy to make. And the miso paste carries this live enzymes that are lactobacilli, so they really line the gut with good healthy bacteria. And the miso, and we've combined ginger juice actually at the end of the cooking. It makes a really gentle, warming, vitalising, easy to eat, delicious broth, really great tonic for the body. Then for main course, we had a whole spread. So we had brown rice dish cooked with chestnuts, so nice and rich for the autumn-winter season, chestnuts. Then we had a red lentil dal. This was cooked with turmeric, garlic, onion, spinach and tomatoes. And that's a really nice dish to incorporate plant proteins in an easy way. We did a really lovely filled mushroom dish. So instead of having your typical filling, we made it really healthy with a sea vegetable plus garlic, and it was very rich and satisfying. It was baked in the oven, so it was oozing with flavour. I'm really keen on making dressings in a healthy way to jazz up your food, so that's another way of generating nice tastes. So I taught two different ones today. One is my favourite simple tahini lemon dressing. So tahini is made from sesame seeds, which are really rich in calcium, and that's a nice way to absorb calcium without going for dairy. So that was tahini and lemon, a really fresh dressing, and then we made this tofu sour cream. The soybean is really plant protein rich, and so we used that with tofu with spring onion and lemon juice, and we made a really effective sour cream. I don't know if you would notice the difference at all. I started this course because I just loved the food. I thought it was great that you could get such beautiful food that tasted wonderful and be so beneficial for the body at the same time. So I had a keen interest in natural food and health and how food impacts the body, and how natural ingredients can be used, and all sorts of material around that.
ladies, how can we make a low cholesterol diet tasty? That's the question. Tasty.
Yeah, tasty is the key word. Well, there are so many different ways. You have different cooking methods that you can use, different added spices or garnishes that you can use that are fresh as well, like fresh herbs, and also spices to add tastiness, lemon juice as well instead of salt. And the other thing that you can use is different kinds of cooking oils, and also fresh food.
So tell us about the cooking oil, because I use olive oil.
Yes.
But I've heard different reports about olive oil when it's hot.
Well, basically, that was the older viewpoint where previously it was thought that cooking with virgin olive oil was going to be really harmful to the body. It's going to be carcinogenic, which basically means that it changes its form to make it more cancer-inducing. But new research actually suggests that that's not the case. So you can actually cook with olive oil. It's perfectly fine to do so. And there are other oils as well you can use. I know there's a big controversy in terms of coconut oil as well, saying it's quite
coconut oil
high in LDL.
Should be really good for us.
Yeah, coconut oil, although it does have LDL in there, low density lipoprotein, which is a different cholesterol, which is considered a bad cholesterol. It does have medium chain triglycerides, which are basically medium chain fatty acids. And that gets converted very quickly by the body into energy. So
what's the best oil should we use?
I would say olive oil is great to use for cooking, but also coconut oil is absolutely fine to use as well.
Okay. You can also use rapeseed oil.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. That's what I use.
It's very light as well.
Very, very light.
Yeah. Yes. And you said fresh fruits and vegetables.
That's right, yes. So try and get most of your fibre and also your nutrients from fresh food. So try and get nutrient-dense foods. Things like pulses, like lentils, they're brilliant at reducing your LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol.
Okay.
And also they contain a lot of vitamin E as well, which repairs the blood vessels. And it's also containing folate, which is something that actually reduces homocysteine levels in the blood. And that there's an indicator that homocysteine levels, when they're high in a person, that actually can be a sign that they're prone to heart disease and also strokes and heart attacks.
So how do we make it tasty?
To make it tasty. There are so many recipes from around the world using these ingredients. And it's really important that you try and get variety in your diet.
Because when I look, because before I used to cook with all these ground seasonings. I don't want to call the brands, but there's so many different brands out there with different types of seasoning. But when you look at the ingredients, once again, they also contain a lot of salt.
Yes, that's right. But you can actually have, for example, lemon juice instead of salt. Adds a whole world of difference.
Oh, lemon juice is
lovely.
Perfect.
It also adds aroma to it as well, to the food. Lime juice as well. Herbs are quite salty in their taste, some of them as well, when they're dried. So if you make your own herb mix, it's quite easy to use.
I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that blender to use. And blend up some herbs.
I think you should.
I absolutely recommend it.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break, but stay tuned and take a look at what's next. Next, we'll be hearing from dietitian Susan Anderson.
Like having a heart healthy diet will help reduce the risk of heart disease.
Welcome back on today's show, The Rising Rates of Heart Disease. Our team met with dietitian Susan Anderson to find out what we should be eating to prevent heart disease.
So in 2015, there was a new study which was published in the BMJ. This supported what we already know about trans fats and how it negatively affects our heart health. However, they also found that there was no association with all-cause mortality in relation to heart disease. So it actually didn't prove cause and effect. So the types of foods which kind of get a bad name for causing heart disease was the saturated fats. So having too much of those types of fats in your diet can be negative for our health and can increase the risk of heart disease, but it doesn't mean that it's going to cause it. So having some in your diet is okay, but you should be limiting those, okay? The trans fats are the types of fats which we should be excluding completely where possible. The guidelines at the moment is about replacing trans fats and saturated fats with the better types of fats, which are the monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats. So things like fish, oily fish, you will get your omega-3 fatty acids. They're full of good polyunsaturated fats. Monounsaturated fats you'll find in things like avocados, nuts, seeds, vegetable, like the olive-based spreads. Those are good types of fats to go for, and they have been shown to help to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease and heart disease, and help to increase a good type of cholesterol in our body called HDL. HDL is a type of cholesterol in our body which actually can help to mop up the bad types of fat or fatty deposits within our arteries. So those are the types of foods and fats that we should be having in our diet more of. Heart disease is multifactorial, and that's something that's really important to know. Is attributable to diet, but it's also lifestyle factors and genetic factors as well. So if you have a family history of hypercholesterolemia, something that could be contributing to risk of heart disease. Also our BMI as well. So if you're obese or you have a high BMI, that can contribute to your risk of heart disease, as well as other comorbidities such as diabetes. Making changes to our diet can help to reduce our risk of developing heart disease. So making these changes to our diet is very important, and there's lots of evidence at the moment to support the Mediterranean style diet. This can help reduce the risk of heart disease, cardiovascular disease. So these types of foods are things like nuts, seeds, and olive oil, avocado. These contain healthy types of fats, okay? And that actually helps to mop up the bad types of fats, or the bad types of fats which is called LDL cholesterol, which is deposited in our arteries. So including those types of foods in your diet, like having a heart healthy diet, will help reduce the risk of heart disease.
So ladies, what do you think prevents us from having a healthy lifestyle?
Personally, I think it's a couple of things.
Yes.
Most people live a hectic lifestyle where everything you do is you rush.
Yes.
People don't have the time.
Yeah, we do a lot of rushing. Sometimes we don't even digest the food properly because we're just
You're in the
running.
car. You see people driving, drinking coffee, drinking tea, eating snacks on the go.
It's on autopilot most of the time.
Exactly.
Yes, they go to coffee in the morning.
You know,
Yes.
food is not digesting, rushing into work.
And a lot of people, even I found myself in this position, doing 14-hour shifts and not eating properly. Sometimes, even though I have a break, but during that break, you get disturbed, you have to go back out. You know, you can't fully enjoy your lunchtime.
Exactly.
So you don't eat. You're just on the rush, you're just on the go.
But I think you need to make that conscious effort.
Yes, you have to make a decision.
Because I personally, I work very early hours of the morning and sometimes finish late at night. But I tell you what I do, and it really does help.
Yeah.
The day before, I make sure I've got my timetable ready.
Yeah.
If it means I have to boil my eggs overnight.
A little bit of meal prep.
Exactly.
That's
what I do.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
It's all set. So I already know what I'm eating. I eat 6 times a day.
Okay.
Small, but often.
Small, but often.
Your body needs that energy. It needs the fuel to keep moving.
Of course.
Constantly.
Yeah.
I think half the battle is psychological.
Yes.
A lot of people think it's more difficult to lead a healthy lifestyle than it actually is. But once they start putting things into practice, a little bit at a time, it's very, very easy for them to continue. And also trying to prepare for any cravings you might have as well, and have alternatives in the fridge or stocked in the cupboards, just in case you have a bad day or a dip.
I know, in my car I always have nuts.
Yes, exactly.
I always have something, to snack on. But snacking is not a good thing, I've heard.
No,
it depends on what you snack on.
Exactly, it depends on what you snack on, also how much. Because even if you have nuts, too many nuts, it does. It does increase your level of fats that you're having overall in the body.
Yeah.
And also, even if you fall off the wagon, if you have a bad day and you do snack a lot, doesn't mean the rest of the day has to be continuing that way. You can actually rein yourself in for the rest of the day.
But I like the tip that you'll give about preparation, meal preparation. I think that is a good thing. I've started to do that.
Yes, it is quite good.
It does help. Save time.
Yes.
Yeah, so you always have something to eat instead of on the day now going out to find something to eat. It saves time.
Because
and eating healthier.
What really happens is if you don't meal prep, you get hungry.
Yes.
You rush whatever you see.
Yes.
That you come across.
Yeah, you just buy anything, impulse.
Exactly. Oh, let me just have a quick snack.
The worst thing is to be hungry and go to the supermarket.
Exactly.
It's just horrendous.
You look at being crisps. Chocolate.
Exactly.
Everything looks appealing.
Veer towards
You're
that.
thinking this is not good. You know it's not good, but
No.
you can't help it.
No, exactly.
Yes. So what other tips would you give our viewers?
I would absolutely have, a well-stocked cupboard in the kitchen or in the house, which is full of safe foods or good foods that you can always go to that tastes good as well, and a variety of them.
Yes.
And also definitely meal prep for the week ahead, or even a few days ahead at a time. And not just the same meal every day, but different meals.
But nothing wrong with that. It's the same.
If you're okay with
If you like that, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, I grill my food.
Okay.
I do grill salmon, grill lamb chops, everything grill, and of course I have some veg and stuff like that, but
every now and again, a treat is absolutely fine.
Yes.
Because you need to have that just to keep
Balance.
yourself, balanced, exactly.
Yes.
But also, not just food, looking at your lifestyle in terms of activity, activity levels, exercise levels as well. Do something you enjoy.
Exactly.
Reduces your stress levels.
Exactly.
But also gets your heart rate pumping.
Yeah,
And I tell you
exercise is a really good one.
I tell you what is good is you don't really have to be at the gym. I don't go to the gym. I don't have the time to go to the gym.
Yes.
My gym is self-made at home.
Yes.
If I have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, I do my press-ups.
You do everything at home, in the
jumping
house.
jacks. I do the whole lot. Finish, shower.
You can get a lot of apps
bed.
nowadays as well, can't you?
Yeah, there are
You're
apps,
exercising
yeah.
there.
And
And you
YouTube
just
as well.
follow. You just need roughly about 10 to 15 minutes.
Or even a walk during the day itself is absolutely fine to do.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Walking, I know.
Yeah.
I'm a driver. And sometimes,
park the car a slightly
park the
distance.
car, yes, and
away
walk
from
the
where
rest.
it's going.
Yes. Having that exercise, in your daily routine, I think is really, really important.
Once you start, you just need to start. Once you start, you get it done for 1 week.
Yes.
The second week becomes easier. Third, fourth.
Yes.
I remember when I started to run, I was out of breath. I couldn't even do a mile.
Yes.
But now I'm doing like 10 miles, 2 to 3 times a week. And I get it done in 1 hour and about 40 minutes.
Oh, wow. High five.
brilliant.
Well done.
But I feel good.
Yeah, you definitely
full of
have more energy.
And when I'm at work, people are like, you're always smiling. It's like you said.
Yeah.
It's the
hormones.
endorphins.
Exactly.
It's a whole
You feel
holistic
good with yourself.
approach.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You look good, you feel good.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
you're doing the world of good for your heart as well.
Yes, definitely. Well, we are going to take a short break, but don't go away, as we'll be back with more on rising rates of heart disease. Here's a sneak peek of what's coming up after the break. Next, we get the facts and chats from the streets of London.
Time. People have not got enough time, especially up in London. You're just running around doing everything and you just don't have enough time.
Welcome back. Today's topic is the rising rates of heart disease. Let's get the facts and hear what the people on the streets of London have to say.
A health survey revealed that more than 1/3 of heart attack survivors, 35%, said that they had mistaken the symptoms of an attack for indigestion. A heart attack is caused when a blood clot forms in a narrowed coronary artery, cutting off the blood supply to the heart muscle. Someone suffers a heart attack approximately every 3 minutes in the UK. Meanwhile, coronary heart disease is the main cause of heart attacks and the single biggest killer in the UK. Coronary heart disease, CHD, is the most common type of cardiovascular disease. It occurs when coronary arteries become narrowed by a build of atheroma a fatty material within their walls. The pain or discomfort felt from such a narrowing is called angina, and if blockage occurs, it can cause myocardial infarction, heart attack.
I don't really know, to be honest. I think maybe when someone kind of goes a bit kind of pale and off colour, that's all I can really think of, to be honest, and I really don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell anything else.
Well, I think it's pain, numbness on the left side. I guess they get erratic, heart breathing. They have difficulty breathing.
I think symptoms of a heart attack can be like also stomach aches, so you don't think it's a heart attack at first, or pain in the left arm. Or I think like if it feels like there's something really heavy on your chest, so it's hard to breathe.
Symptom might be chest pains and just like it's really a weird feeling in your chest. So,
according to the NHS, symptoms of heart attacks include chest pain, feeling lightheaded, sweating, shortness of breath, feeling sick, an overwhelming sense of anxiety, coughing or wheezing. There are around 7 million people living with cardiovascular disease in the UK, 3.5 million men and 3.5 million women. An ageing and growing population and improved survival rates from these cardiovascular events could see these numbers rise still further. Many different risk factors increase your likelihood of developing cardiovascular disease. Nearly 30% of adults in the UK have high blood pressure, and up to half are not receiving treatment. People with high blood pressure are up to 3 times more likely to develop heart disease or have a stroke. High blood cholesterol is a significant risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Having diabetes can double the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Modifiable risk factors, e.g. cigarette smoking, physical inactivity, and poor diet, contribute significantly to the risk of cardiovascular disease. More than 1 in 6 adults smoke cigarettes in the UK. That's over 8 million adults. Nearly 100,000 smokers in the UK die from smoking-related causes each year. It is estimated that up to 20,000 UK deaths each year from cardiovascular disease can be attributed to smoking.
Time. People have not got enough time, especially up in London. You're just running around doing everything and you just don't have enough time to maybe eat healthily and go for regular exercise.
People are busy going to work, probably eating on the go as well, doesn't help, rushing about.
I think a lot of things. Stress, working, that involves a lot of stress. I guess bad habits, smoking, drinking.
I think it's also a sense of comfort because nowadays it's so easy to get everything online. You don't have to go anywhere to get food or whatever, and it's just people can access everything now by computer and they don't have to do anything anymore. So maybe it's just that.
I think it's hard for people to change habits. So if they're used to do something or eat something, then it's hard to do something else.
Over a quarter, 27% of adults in the UK are obese, and in addition, more than a third are overweight. A quarter of adults in the UK exceed national guidelines for weekly alcohol intake. No level of use is without risk. Outdoor air pollution contributes to an estimated 40,000 premature deaths in the UK each year, with a significant impact on cardiovascular health. What large-scale studies show, both in this country and in other countries, that 15% or so of people that have survived a heart attack become quite seriously depressed in the first few weeks following that. For some of those, that depression will be quite persistent. Another 25% experience milder levels of depressive symptoms. Despite these strong feelings, research shows that most people, 67%, did not speak to anyone about the emotional or psychological impact of their condition. For 45% of people, this is because they didn't feel it was necessary.
Like people don't exactly know what causes different health problems, so they're just maybe scared to talk about it.
I think they're just insecure about it. I think some people, they feel very insecure about opening up to certain people.
Sometimes get emotional or upset, and because it is good to talk about about your problems, about your health and things like that, about your heart.
The facts on the streets were really serious. It shows you the seriousness of this topic, today's topic, and how it affects the lives of each and every one of us if we don't make necessary changes now.
Absolutely.
It would affect us later on. Sometimes we think, oh, I can eat whatever I want. But then a few months or even years later,
it accumulates, doesn't it?
Of course.
As it's doing now.
But what really strikes me is the fact that we also have a lot of people that suffer in silence.
That's true.
They speak to no one. They go through health problems,
They might not
but they don't
understand
open up.
initially what they're going through either.
Yes.
And that can be quite a lethal situation, because very quickly they can actually, make it much more serious than it should be.
Yeah, because some people don't speak to their GP.
No.
They don't speak to
Or their
family members. They don't speak to anyone.
No, exactly. And I think it's much more, it's very important that not only they aware about what they can do themselves to take control of their health, but also what their family can do to support them. So it's important they try and talk about it with people around them.
I remember when I had my personal health scare, I was also a bit reluctant to speak to anyone about it. I needed to take a moment for myself to really understand what it is all about, what the operation was all about, everything. And I think sometimes people do worry about other people's opinion, what they will think.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you need help, you need help.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. But you need to make a decision. You have to make a decision.
You can't run away from it.
No, you can't, because it will creep up.
It'll just get worse,
It'll get worse. And then bigger consequences.
The way I look at it is, your health is your responsibility. We all have to try hard.
Yes.
To take our health very importantly.
Yeah.
Because if you don't,
then who would?
Exactly.
So it's really important. Today's topic really has awakened in me the importance of my diet and exercise. Because as time goes along, as you get older, sometimes you become lazy,
Exactly. But there is so much available nowadays in the shops in terms of foods as well, and also information and the web and everywhere else in the media. And when you're on the tube or on the bus, there is a lot of information available that's for free. Even in your GP surgery as well, there are pamphlets about giving you information about what kind of symptoms you might experience. If you're not aware about what to look out for, it's quite dangerous. So it's really important to try and make sure you're well educated, informed about what you might be going through, what you might be prone to suffering as well in future, and what you can do to prevent it.
Well, there's no doubt having a heart attack or witnessing one is very stressful. And so we need to understand how people go through that process and how we can best support them, as you did. Many people, particularly young people who have had a heart attack, may not have known they were at risk. So will find themselves suddenly confronted with the idea of their own risk. This requires quite a lot of psychological adjustments. Changing your habits.
Changing your habits, but also
changing your mindset overall.
Yeah, exactly. But also try and tie in with your preferences, what you like and what you don't like. There's always alternatives that you can do.
There's always healthier options.
Absolutely. Exactly.
And it's a combination of exercise.
It's not always a case of
healthy diet.
Exactly.
It's all about
hand in hand.
It's all about adjusting your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Do what suits you.
For some people say doing what suits me. I will eat whatever I want.
But the healthier version.
Exactly.
The healthier version. So it's important to know that you are not alone. And it's important that you don't feel that, you have to suffer in silence or by yourself. Because if you've had a heart attack or you know someone who have had, that help is available, So you've heard our thoughts today on today's show, but tell us your thoughts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or by email and comments at dkw.me. Join us next week for another inspiring and informative episode of DKW.